12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 80. I am your host, Kenneth Watson. Today's guest is Rashad. Rashad is an author, a recovery coach, a model, and a few other things got going on. We'll definitely talk about that in the interview. But before I bring in Rashad, make sure you guys go on 12facesofsober.com. That's the number 12facesofsober.com. Tell them what's going on. How you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Hope all is well with you. I actually have a rough number of books available for purchase. All you got to do is you can reach out directly through what's it called? You can inbox me or you can comment during this interview, and like I said, and we can talk about it, set it up. I believe tomorrow is a holiday, but I will be mailing the books off on Tuesday. I have to do a post office run anyway. So hello Lori, hello Jay Sobi, hello, happy Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. Normally I'm a little more relaxed and comfortable, but I went to church this morning and just got back, so I did not change as of yet, but once the interview is over, I will. Rashad just stepped in. I've been following Rashad for quite, I'd probably say, probably like maybe just a little over 6 months, and he has great content. And like I said, one thing about me is that I want to showcase those in the sober community who look like me, talk the same language, and hear it from their perspective. Because out here in the sober community, there's not a lot of us out here talking about it like this. And so that's why, if you notice that I try to have, a pretty good chunk of my guests are people who look like me. Because, like I said, we embrace this thing called addiction a little bit different. Some families talk about it and some families don't. And then by the time they want to talk about it, it's either you in the hospital or you on your way picking out a grave, a headstone. So that's why I'm thankful for social media. I'm glad that they've, created this space, but we need more people talking about this thing called sobriety. Most of, I think maybe like 75 to 76 of my episodes are on YouTube. All you gotta do is type in 12 Faces of Sober. If you haven't caught all of them, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe, follow my page. I'm trying to put a whole lot of different content on my YouTube page as well as other stuff. But without further ado, I'm gonna send this request to Rashad, and we'll go ahead and get into the interview because I don't want to waste no time. But hope you guys are all having a wonderful Sunday. What up, John? My cousin John. What's happening? What's happening for sure? Appreciate you tuning in. You came in yesterday. I was just on the phone with your auntie right before I started this live. Let me see. There we go. What's going on, bro?
What's up, big dog?
Happening? Man, chilling. Happy Sunday to you.
To you, man.
Jazz, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. I seen you say that you're like a little disheveled still, and I'm pretty disheveled as well. I just got back from Boston, actually.
Okay.
I wasn't even planning on being back. I was going to do the interview from the hotel, but just so happens that we got here just in time, and I'm here. I'm ready to lock and load, ready to go. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just, I'm hoping that this dang snow that's still left on the ground will hurry up and melt, and we get some warm weather here, man. I'm over this stuff, for real. Where you at in the country?
I'm in Connecticut, New Britain, Connecticut. Well, I'm from New Britain. I live in Covington now.
Okay. Believe it or not, I grew up. Well, I ain't gonna say grew up. I lived out in New London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back in let me see what year was that. I think it was like 79 to 81. So I spent my first almost my first year or two of life out there. My dad was stationed in New London or wherever the Navy base is at out there. Groton, New London, one of those.
Somewhere down there by the shore.
Mm-hmm.
You said Navy or Coast Guard?
Navy. My dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a Coast Guard too.
Okay. Okay, yeah, my vision wasn't good enough to get into the Navy, so I got stuck with going to the Army.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. No problem, man. So, as I was getting ready to say, Rashad has been sober since March 13th of 2018. He's an author. We'll talk about that. He's a recovery coach. We'll talk about that. Model, actor, a little bit of everything. And like I was just saying in the opening, and it's not even about Black History Month. It's just about, getting more people that look like me on this podcast and talking about recovery and what were some of the steps that got you to this point. And that's my purpose. That's my goal. Nothing against the other guests that I have. I love everybody who's came on here. But like I said, sometimes I just get that feeling like, you know what, I need to go back and see how it was for you growing up and what were some of the similarities and stuff like that and have a discussion about it. So without further ado, like I said, we know you from Connecticut, and but let's go back to how it was for you growing up. Were you raised by your parents, by a guardian? What were some of the things around you? Did you witness alcohol abuse, drug abuse, stuff like that? Let us know.
Let's go. All right. Yeah. So I was born in New Britain, Connecticut, 1990, November 26th. And my mother's from New Britain, my father's from Hartford, Connecticut. I don't know if you know anything about Hartford, but they call it Homicide Hartford. It's a really dangerous, it's one of the murder capitals in New England. So my father was there, drug dealer from there in the early 90s, coke and gold chains and alcohol all over the place. And that's kind of what I initially grew up around. When I was born, my father was already selling drugs, and by the time I was like 2 or 3, he was making really, really good money and supplying a decent amount of the territory in Connecticut or New Britain, in Hartford. And so I grew up with people in and out of the house and people that he had hanging around the house, which I thought were just his friends when I was younger, but I come to know when I grew up that he was just giving them coke to clean the house. And so I grew up around that. My house got raided when I was 4 years old, actually, and that's kind of like the last time I had my father in my life. I was actually with him during the raid. I remember it clearly, and I've recited it so many times that like this is true. You know how they say some of your memories fade after you tell them a few times? I'm like, nah, I got this sequence down packed. And it was like I was laying on the floor with him, actually, on his back while he was asleep. Early in the morning, maybe 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I don't remember, but I heard people running up the steps. I didn't know it was like the SWAT team coming up the steps, but it was and I was looking around, and then boom, doors kicked in, and my father he was facing a RICO charge, and he told, and he ended up moving far away, and like the whole witness protection thing, and that was kind of my life. And then at some point, like the people that he had told on was threatening to kill me, my mom, and my little brother at the time. So it's like a really selfish decision for him to just do that and then take off, But after that, it was Section 8. My grandmother babysitting that night, my mom working second shift, and not really any male guidance in my life. So I grew up in public housing. So I learned from the older guys in my neighborhood, and I grew up with a lot of family as well. So I had older cousins that were making me fight at in like first grade. First grade, I'm fighting kids because my older cousin says, "Well, fight him or I'm gonna beat you up," And
wow.
Yeah, and then it progressed from there. My father kind of came back into my life when I was 8, if you want to call it that. I would go fly out to where he was at, and the first time I flew out there, I was 8 years old, and that's the first time I got like drunk, like wasted. He poured a cup with Henny and Coke, and I drank the whole cup. And this is 8 years old. So yeah, it was pretty difficult to avoid the path I went after being exposed at 8 years old to somebody who was supposed to be the leader in my life. You know what I mean? And after then, it was I went out every summer, and I would drink with him. He'd go to the store and be like, "Yo, Rashad, you want a beer from the store?" And I'm like 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, and I'm like, "Yeah, of course. If my dad's gonna go give me a beer, I'm gonna drink it." And yeah, it progressed from there even more. Coming back home after having a drink with my father, and there's other kids in the neighborhood drinking, asking me if I want to drink, and I'm like, of course. Like, I remember what that felt like. Like, that was like the best feeling in my life. I was 8 years old the first time I felt it, so you can only imagine. Like, it's an amazing feeling when you're an adult and you try it for the first time. But I was 8, you know, and it kind of it progressed from there. Like, high school was about the age of 13. I was drinking every weekend. By senior year of high school, I was drinking every weekend and 3, sometimes 4 days a week during the week, at school, after school, before school, skipping school to just go smoke and come back, or go drink and stay out of school. It was difficult, and I suffered with undiagnosed ADHD for so long that I was just self-medicating as well. So I had the trauma that I experienced as a youth and everything that I've seen, on top of that, a mental disorder that I didn't have any grasp on. And, you know, in the neighborhoods that or the communities we grew up in, that's not really a high subject. Like, mental health, we don't talk about it much. And the reason why you got this show, and the reason why I share my story so much, is because of the stigma in our community. So I missed a lot of things that I probably could have gotten, as well as with not having the father figure in my life. So I graduated high school barely after 5 years. I started on hard drugs at 19. First time I did cocaine was 19 years old, and then I didn't even like it at first. And then as I kept hanging around different people and the people I didn't need to be around, I started to be introduced to other drugs. And by like 23, I had both my kids, and I was sniffing heroin and popping e-pills and Molly and coke and whatever else. It was a smorgasbord for me. Dust, but my main thing was alcohol, and that's what grounded me to the obsession that I had. And I mean, I maintained decent jobs for a while. I worked at the Britain General Hospital out here in Connecticut, and that's when it started to take control of me. I started working third shift, drinking when I got out all day until I fell asleep, and then I would get up and go to work. And then at some point, my shift got changed to second, and it disrupted my drinking. So I was used to drinking all day and working all night. That when it flipped, I was at work getting sick, and I had no idea what was going on in my body, you know, because all my life, like, my grandmother tried to protect us as much as we could, because I had an uncle who passed away when I was 4. That's another traumatic experience I had, who was like this. Me and him were real tight. But so he had died with HIV and as a drug user. But like my grandmother, trying to protect me, was only thinking about the STD part. So like, she would give me books and books on, like, with like penises with warts on it and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So like
Wow.
I had that education, I guess, but I've never had anything. Nobody ever told me about alcoholism or addiction or anything like that. Like, I seen movies where we would see addicts or stuff, or like, you know, we would call people crackheads on the sidewalk at that time when I was young and ignorant. But I never had that knowledge. And I mean, we had the DARE program, but like, because of my drinking at 8 years old and already being exposed to all these movies and stuff that I was watching. I mean, I was watching Half Baked when it came out. I was born in the 90s, so do the math on that.
Yeah.
And I
I
remember
was
like
in high
wanting to
school like
taste it.
this.
Like, I wanted to taste it. I'm like, yo, I want to know what that tastes like. I want to know what it tastes like. Like, I already got drunk. I want to know what that weed tastes like. And they got introduced to me in 7th grade, and some girl brought it on the bus, and that was my golden opportunity. I was like, oh, let's go, give me it. I want it. And I rolled it up with some toner paper and smoked it, and I don't know. That's the story. And I so when I was working at the hospital, I was getting sick, and eventually I started throwing up blood one day, and I went to the hospital, and they admitted me, and they're gonna do a not a colonoscopy, endoscopy to see what was wrong with my stomach. And while I was in the hospital bed, like I started getting the shakes, and I was sweating, and I got that, the withdrawal, the feeling. And I was asking my nurse like what was going on, and so she was asking me certain questions, and then she asked me the one question: how much do you drink? And at that point, I was drinking every day, every single day. So like when nobody had asked me that prior to that. So like when she asked me, I was like, I didn't want to answer. I'm like, every day. And she's like, you're going through withdrawals, honey. And I'm like, what is that? She was like, you're probably an alcoholic. And I was like, damn. So for 2 more months, I kept drinking because I was sad about being an alcoholic. And more drugs. And I had ended up going to a rave in December 2013, and I overdosed on everything I was taking. I don't even remember. And I remember ended up in the hospital, and that was the first time my mother came to see me and realized that my problem was gotten out of hand. And I lost my job 2 days later. I was supposed to get hired at UConn Health Center, the state hospital out here. And I woke up with withdrawal symptoms that morning that I was supposed to go to orientation. And they called me back like 2 weeks later and said, we need somebody more reliable, or like a few days later. And that was it. And then I went into a spiral. I went to 12 detoxes in 10 months in 2014. My first rehab, and then relapsed like a week after that, went back to another detox. And then it was just like 4 years of me just drinking and going to detoxes and working jobs and losing them, and taking like vacations at certain jobs and going to detox for a week just to get better for a little bit and then go back to work. And I was homeless throughout this whole time as well. So I was couch hopping. I was sleeping at my mom's house, my grandma's house, my son's mother's house, any female that would take me, anybody who had liquor. It was, or I was sleeping in my car sometimes as well. And it was really rough. But then I got in my accident. I flipped my car the day before the Eagles won the Super Bowl, actually. It was February 3rd, 2018. And that was kind of the turning point. It didn't stop me right then, but I lost my car. And that was the last possession I had throughout my addiction. Like I lost everything, but I still had a car, so I was good, I felt in my mind. And then, I lost the car. I celebrated the Super Bowl for a whole month, to the point where I was drinking where I was at the point where my legs wouldn't move. Like my brain wouldn't send signals to my legs. Like it's not like I was dizzy or anything. Like I couldn't move them. I would have to like crawl around when I was intoxicated. And that was the last straw. Two of my cousins came over and sat me down, and I already knew it was coming, and I was ready for it. And I had already wanted to get clean. I was just waiting for the right opportunity. So they sat me down, like, you need to go treatment. I was like, you're right. They're like, so you ready to go? I'm like, tomorrow. So I wanted that one day to just finish, get my last drink, and I ended up drinking to the point where I couldn't move my legs again. And they kind of like carried me into the car, brought me to the package store, so I wouldn't withdraw in the car, brought me to the detox. I had to get wheeled in because I couldn't move my legs. And then at this point, my withdrawal symptoms were so bad that I was at seizure protocol. So I had 3 seizures and 3 different withdrawals in my life. One of them led to a coma for 3 days. I was in ICU at Middlesex in Middletown, Connecticut. And and then I've been to psych wards from the DTs. I had hallucinations like 5 times and thrown in psych wards. And it's crazy. It is actually one of the stories in my book. For Generis on Amazon. But
say that one more time.
Generis.
Say that one more time. Okay, yeah.
Generis, Year 2, Recovery Memoir on Amazon. But I'll plug that later.
Okay. And so now this thank you for sharing so far, because some of those things kind of hit me in my stomach, making me think about those days of because I've been to like 3 rehabs. I didn't go to as many. I've been to maybe 2 or 3 different detoxes. But just the fact of how scary it is, those days that you don't drink and you have those withdrawals. And I think the proper medical term is CWAS. I think that's what it is. And it's interesting because obviously when you're drinking, you're not really thinking about like, damn, okay, I'm going to have these type of withdrawals if I don't have this in my system. You're just programmed to put it in your body and not knowing like, damn, whatever the heck I am putting in my body is really messing me up, because you shouldn't be having seizures. You shouldn't be in ICU. No, those type of things shouldn't even be an occurrence, but you wouldn't know that if you're not indulging a whole lot in alcohol.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's tough, man. Like you kind of took me down memory lane to what year was that? 2016, because that's what it was. Like I had went to the hospital one time. I had issues with my pancreas. I was in this is 4th of July weekend of 2016.
Yep.
And I was there for like 2 days. I told that lady, I said, look, I gave her like the most bogus excuse. I said, my tags are expired. My car is parked right outside the hospital. I need to go out there and get my tag so that I don't get my car towed. And they let me go. I said, I'll be back tomorrow. I didn't go back. I was like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But see, that's the alcohol controlling your brain, thinking like, okay, yeah, this bottle is better than trying to take care of your health.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just kind of what it is when you're in that addictive state. It's like, I just give me the substance. Just give it to me. I'm not worried about the pain or whatever, anything else. So you went to rehab this last time. What was different than all the other times that you had your stints? What was different?
I was sick. Like I was sick and I was tired. I was tired of the life I was living. My kids were 7 and I think 5 at that time, and I was just like, I need to get it together. And also, I regardless of everything that I missed out on and all the opportunities, I know that I was destined for more than the life I was living. I always knew I was better. I was always talented in certain things, and my mind's creative enough to, and I just knew I was destined for more. The whole time even when I was drinking, I was and drugging. I was working in behavioral health because I knew one day I wanted to get clean, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna get clean at some point, and I'm gonna use this on my resume, and it's gonna help me get ahead, working in the field I want. So like, yeah, I was fed up. I had just lost my last possession that was actually enabling me to continue the lifestyle I was living, because I had a car, so I can go wherever I wanted, drink, and I was enabled by the law so much because I got pulled over probably about 4 times drunk as hell once or twice, and I talked myself out of it somehow or got away, or like the cop didn't give a shit at that point because I was driving decently. I don't even know, but there's a lot of things that enabled me throughout that time, and I finally lost the last thing that was enabling me, and I just felt like it was time, like. And while I was in the hospital, actually, I was. They told me that I was close to having fatty liver disease. They thought I had it actually because my liver the enzymes were going up higher when I stopped drinking as opposed to going down. So they seen that there was a problem. It was tender, but it was like super inflamed, alcoholic hepatitis. And they said like I had maybe if I kept drinking the way I was drinking, I wasn't gonna make it past 30.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was 27. It's like, damn, 3 years. I'm about to kill myself right now. Like, I'm about to die. Like, this is life or death at this point, And I mean, although it was before because of the recklessness of my addiction, this time it was like, yo, I'm gonna die, and I can see it coming, and there's something I can do to change it, And I tell my clients all the time, like, I continue to do the things that I don't want to do, and I try to learn because like all the detoxes that I went to over 31 detoxes, 8 rehabs, psych wards. But through all that experience, I actually grasped and soaked a lot of things in, a lot of things that I learned from each of the detoxes just compiled to that point. And they say that, what is it? Success is luck and timing coming together, and I believe that that's just what it was. It was just the time and a little bit of luck, and I just put everything together. And like I said, it was compiled. I was doing yoga before. I was meditating while I was drunk. I was thinking positive while I was sitting on the couch crying and writing positive affirmations and finding hobbies. So I was doing everything I needed to do. I just wasn't putting it together when I came out of detox or rehab. So this time I was like, yo, I'm gonna do it. So this time I went to a 90-day program and ended up staying there for 4 months. And the place I went was outside. It's like a campground. They got a pond. There's a beach volleyball court. There's a basketball court. There was a pool at the time, softball field, a bunch of dorms out in the woods. It was dope. And I was just able to go, like, we were going fishing and playing beach volleyball in the pool, and then on the sand, and there's a weight room and a garden and chicken coop, and like I did everything that I learned. I was meditating out by the water in the morning and giving gratitude. I was working out. I was watching what I was eating. I was eating like the best I've ever eaten in my life until this point. And I was reading recovery material. I was writing. I was planning my life ahead, my 5-year plan on what I wanted to do when I got out of rehab, step by step by step by step. And I just did it when I got out. Like I did it. I had a little bit of help. My son's mother let me live with her for a year while I got my bearings straight and got some money to save and get out of there. My mom helped me a lot. My grandmother helped me a lot. And I was just able to just climb out of it and do everything I needed to do. And step by step, like it was really step by step. I did everything. I got my recovery coach certificate, worked a job that I didn't want to work for a while just so I can build the tolerance. I hated it every day, but I would get out of work and I'm like, I'm going to make it one day. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I know it. And it was just crazy. And I would look back once I went to the next step and I'm like, okay, that's done. I'm here. I'm getting here. And I just continue to do it. And now, like, I'm at the job that I wanted when I was at, like, my first detox. Like, the state facility that I went to at detox is the one that I work at now. And I've seen other guys that worked in the field, and I would see them at different rehabs and programs, and I'm like, yo, I want to be like this dude. He works at the state. He works at another nonprofit on the side. He does a whole bunch of other stuff. And I recently ran into somebody. Well, I run into clients all the time that I was in treatment with, but like this one guy I was really cool with, and I was like, yo, you remember this dude? I said his name, and he's like, oh yeah, yeah, he was cool as hell. We used to look up to him. He was like, yo, bro, you're him now. And I was like, damn. He's like, bro, you're doing it. Like, look at you. And I'm like, and it's crazy because I prepped myself to not look forward to the future for my happiness. I worked on my happiness throughout this whole time because now that I'm here, I look and it doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel when I was in rehab, you know? Yeah. But when I was planning it doesn't feel like it was supposed to feel, but it feels amazing. And I know that it's just continued work and I'm just going to keep going. And there's more things that I need to accomplish, but I'm just going to use the same strategy I've been using, you know? 5-year plan when I got out of rehab was to go get my recovery coach certificate, work at a gym. I did that in like the first month, write a book, start speaking, start doing podcast interviews. You know, it was just like a culmination. And then like the modeling and the acting thing came out of nowhere. And I'm doing music once in a while again. And I'm playing sports and I'm raising my kids. And I got a stepson that I'm helping raise too. And I'm in a loyal relationship. And we just came back from Boston taking trips. Like, I took more trips in the last 5 years than I've taken in my life.
And say that again. Say that again. I'm gonna tell you why.
I'm taking more trips in the last 5 years than I ever did in my entire life.
Yeah, because that seems to be like the norm for me too. Because like I've traveled a whole lot more, especially solo, being sober over. Just like, oh man, like when I was married, it was like, oh, we have to go to Arizona. No, the hell we don't. But I'm going because of you type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, okay, I can pick and choose where I want to go. Is it San Diego? Is it Florida? Is it Mississippi? You know what I mean? Different places, DC, like South Africa, like different places that I was just like, oh, I couldn't do when I was really into drinking. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to come back up to Minnesota and let my family see how intoxicated I was because I was just a wreck. You know what I'm saying? And then I wanted to point out a couple of things which I think is definitely good, is you know, you mentioned having a plan. Now the same thing, like when I was in rehab the first couple times, I was angry at everybody
Yeah.
because like y'all didn't want to have nothing to do with me, so you said go to rehab. This last time they didn't want to, they told me to go to rehab, but they also were supportive. But I was like, okay, well, I'm now 30, 37, 38. So it was like, all right, well, do I want to continue making these same mistakes? And instead of just doing a night in jail, it could be months or years, multiple years, decades for dumb decisions. Or do I just go ahead, complete this program, and not even dare try to put myself in these situations again? And then here I am 6 years later, like, whoa, like this stuff really happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about the stuff during the time I was drinking. I'm like, this the sober time. And then I had somewhat of a plan, you know, go to school, get my degree. I'm not supposed to be working, but I've done volunteer work as far as helping the homeless out here in the Twin Cities. And the same thing is like I want to get, you know, expanded to, you know, doing some of these, go to some of these recovery centers and try to, you know, speak to them. But that's the next thing on the list. But like I said, being able to have a, you know, have a plan is better than just to walk out the doors and now you're like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And then that's when you going, you know, you might as well make a U-turn and go right back into
Yeah.
rehab. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have that plan, it's hard out here.
Yeah.
It's hard.
If you don't have a map around the obstacles, you're gonna fall in one.
That is very true. That is, and like I said, I can go back because my first stint in rehab was on the north side where Prince grew up at, like probably a couple blocks from his old house. And the day I got out of rehab, I told my nephew, I said, let's go to the liquor store, bro. He was like, man, you just getting out of rehab. I said, I wasn't supposed to be here to begin with,
Yo.
but go get me something to drink. And of course he gonna do it, and so we drank. But that's the thing, is that I knew this time, like, man, I'm tired of hurting my family. I'm tired of, you know, embarrassing myself. I'm tired of getting scars. Okay, now it's time to work on you. And the same thing, I had health issues. My pancreas almost gave out, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these different things that I was ignoring when I was in the military, knowing that I had it, but now I'm able to address it. So even with that, like the plan of getting, you know, better and healthy. You mentioned that. Okay, you're in the gym, you doing your thing. That's, you know, that's improving your health over like, okay, I'm going to get out of rehab and not, you know what I mean, work on me, not just the inner but the outer
Yeah.
too. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens. Sometimes people don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and then the second thing is I like the fact that once you actually got out, you you were getting assistance from your family. A lot of times people get out of here, you know, get out of rehab, detox, whatever it is, and they don't have no friends. They don't have no family.
Yeah.
And then they back out there. They back out using because they don't have a place to stay. They, you know what I mean? Even if you stay there temporarily, you know that your goal, because you got a plan, that you know, you're not trying to get here. You're trying to get you know, get something up underneath your feet for now, and then to be able to progress from there.
Right.
And I like that comment when you were, you know, you were mentioning about your family looking out for you. You stayed at a few places and stuff like that, because there are some families that would be like, you know what, you on your own, you done burnt too many bridges
Right.
type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now you've been out, you know, sober and everything. What was I know you said you got your certification, but like as far as like being active, like you said you ran into some people. That's what it was. You ran into some people that you may have like came in contact with. So what were their true impressions of you now that now you're on the other side? First you was sitting at the table with them mad in the groups like, hurry up, let me get through it. Now you up there, you speaking, you know what I'm saying? And you're speaking from experience because you were just sitting in those seats recently.
Yeah. So actually, it's weird, but like when I first run into somebody that like I was in treatment with, and now that they're coming to the place that I work, I kind of feel like embarrassed. Like I feel bad because like I made it and they're back here, you know, and they even say it to me sometimes, like, damn, yo, I could have been where you're at. And then all I say is like, you know, you can only start from here, you know. But yeah, a lot of times they're amazed and they feel comfortable, like, you know, because I worked at it's the rehab. I actually still work there part time, but like they see me at the rehab, they're walking like, yo, Rashad, you work here now? Oh, what? And I'm like, yeah, bro. And they're like, yo, how'd you do it? You know, and I'm like, and I give I kick a little game to them, and that's all I do, and that's why I love what I do, because like I just get to do what I was doing anyway. Like when I first got out of rehab, I was sharing my story anyway. So now I get to go to rehab and inspire people to actually get clean, you know. And it really is amazing. Like I've even gotten people, or I've helped be part of the process of getting people clean that I used to get high or get drunk with, you know. And I even had a real close friend that I grew up with. Their mom like reached out to me, and that's what started the process. She reached out to me. I told her to have him reach out to me. We talked. I got him into treatment. He got out. He's still doing well. And his mother like reached out and thanked me, and that was like the biggest thing, you know. And my job is to, or my goal is to just same as you know, show people like us that there's a way to get clean because of the stigma associated with that in our community. Like we don't see it much. So like I have no problem helping people. I tell people all the time, if you need to reach out to me, just reach out. Like just call me, or text me. You know, all I can do is tell you what I know, and if that's all I played my part. You know.
Yeah, because and I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times I found myself just on social media. I'm like, man, hey, just reach out. You don't have to reach out to me, but reach out to someone.
Right.
If if you're a woman and you feel more comfortable talking to a woman, go right ahead. You're a man, you want to talk to a man, go right ahead. But it's better to sit there and reach out to somebody over you going back out there and you using and punishing yourself. And so that's why I tried to say it and then be like, but then some people will try to call on the sneaks and, hey man, Kenny, how you doing? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. What's up? Wait, oh man, my lady this, my lady don't want me drinking. Okay, well, what's the real problem? What do you feel you got a problem? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? Because obviously if there's two sides to it. So I'm trying to think outside of just like, oh, you don't blame it on your partner.
Right.
You might want to look within yourself. You know what I'm saying? But it works out like that, man. And like I said, I got a buddy right now, man, my little bro. I always tell him, like, man, I know you out there struggling, but why struggle alone when you could sit here and you could really reach out to somebody who we drank together? You know what I'm saying? And and you should already know that my attitude is totally different now that I'm sober.
Right.
So that's what's important, and it's good to have these spaces to even have this type of conversation, because we as Black men should be able to be confident enough. We're confident to talk about our favorite professional team, our favorite, our favorite rapper. But then we're not proud enough to be like, hey, look, I'm sober, but this is what it took for me to get sober.
Yeah.
And you can do it too, but you just have to eliminate certain things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and so now, because let me see. So how is okay? It's hard to hear the fact that when you were younger, you were introduced to drinking at such a young age. Even though I was too, but I'd be damned if my dad went to the store and bought me something to drink.
Right.
My mom would have been, you know what I'm saying? I have a memory. It was like on a Saturday, they were barbecuing. My dad was playing dominoes with his friend, Navy buddies, and my mom happened to be outside or looked out the window and saw my dad giving me the beer. So I'm holding the beer with two hands. My mom said, you better take that MF and beer away from that boy. He don't need that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That your problem is your problem. He should not be doing that stuff at that age. And even for you, like, man, that is very traumatic, bro. Like real, that's no child should have to go through that.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't have kids, but there's no way. Even if I have kids, there's no way I'm gonna be like, hey, now if I was drinking, you 21, that's a different story. But I'm not gonna give it to no kid because that man.
Yo, I didn't even know I was being traumatized.
See what I'm saying? You thought it was normal because it was a cool thing to do. You seeing pops do it, so you thinking like it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's brutal,
Yo,
man. So
the crazy thing is too, like my son's 12, so like I look at my son now and I couldn't imagine ever giving him alcohol at 12 years old. So like 4 years ago, me giving him alcohol and thinking like it's okay. It's I don't know. That shit's crazy.
and then you be shocked, like, you want to go to the store get some drink? Yeah. And you like, wait a minute, you're not even old enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's hard, man. That's truly hard, man. And but it goes on. You know what I'm saying? And in a lot of ways, you know, we got to continue to have this conversation so that it don't go on anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's hurting a lot of people out here.
Oh yeah.
And by the time people realize it, it could be too late.
Yeah.
You could be locked up, you know what I'm saying, for an extended sentence, or they planning your funeral. And I don't, like I said yesterday, I'm not trying to be in nobody else's jail cell.
Right.
I'm good. Like, it's not even, ain't my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? Now, so you mentioned, okay, when did you publish your book?
May 21.
May 21?
May 2021.
Okay. And then, so what was the process like for you writing it?
A lot longer because I'm unmedicated on ADHD, but I started. All right, so I wanted to get a year clean first before I even begun any kind of recovery project because never had a year before that. So I was, okay. So I waited 6 months to even share that I had gone through everything, which most people in Britain, where I'm from, already knew because it wasn't hard to hide. But I came out and told everybody I'm clean and I've been to rehab, and it was 6 months. I had half a year at that point, and then I was already planning the book like years before. Like, I'm gonna write a book when I get clean. So it was like just until I get to the point where I get clean, I can't start the book. So I planned it in rehab. I wrote like some drafts. I started journaling already and reading a lot of recovery material, and I decided like 10 months clean that I was gonna write the introduction. So I was like, okay, let me get started. So I wrote the introduction, and then I decided on starting on the 1 year anniversary of me getting clean to start writing the book. So it began it was a journal. I literally, the worst decision in my life, I hand wrote the whole first draft, and converting that to text was the worst thing in the world. So I don't suggest it unless, I don't know if you'd have and you liked it, but I don't suggest it.
I did it a little different, but nah, I think there was times when I would like maybe text myself, like, just, you know, a random thought or something that was like something that really stood out, then I would text it so that I don't forget.
All right.
But as far as like sitting down and writing, there was no way that I was going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, all right. So basically, it was a journal, and it fell into place perfectly because like everything that started happening after I started the book, it was like it aligned perfectly. So like in the beginning of the book, I'm getting in my first intimate situations clean, and I'm going through like little heartbreaks because don't know how to control my emotions, and I'm getting over emotionally involved, and it was just a mess. So like, you know, I was doing the little experiments and trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I was just sharing it. A lot of that was just being shared, like the emotions I was going through, how I was feeling, how I was viewing everything, and the intentions that I had in my life, you know. And I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then I began working at a really tough job. I was working at actually Coca-Cola out here in Connecticut, and it was physically demanding, and I was still going to the gym, and I was running 5K races, and I was doing a whole bunch of stuff just to get my body like in tune. I had to beat myself up in order to get me ready to get beat up, just in case some things fall in place. Because I know life sucks, and as long as you're prepared for it, it doesn't suck as much, and you can enjoy the good times. So so I was doing that, and then September, after that March, my brother got hit by a car walking across the street, and broke both of his femurs. He's actually on here right now. What up, Jaquan? But
what's going on, bro? How you doing?
he snapped both his femurs, broke his hip, his scapula, and like had a road rash out on his back. He almost died. Luckily, he didn't hit his head; he hit the floor. But so that happened, and I had to emotionally go through that, and I shared all of it, you know. And to this day, they still didn't even find the person that hit him because it was a stolen car and a person ran or whatever. But that's another story. So I went through that, and then a few months later, one of my closest cousins died. My father's first cousin, who initially is the reason why I became an Eagles fan, and he died. And that was another emotional thing that I had to go through and I had to suffer through, and I was able to write about it, you know, and share. And that was the main reason why I shared it too, because I know that a lot of people go through traumas immediately getting out of rehab or immediately getting clean or within the first 2 years, and that causes them to relapse. So I feel like if I could just get through it and share how I got through it and the mindset that I had going through it, I can maybe help somebody get through it well, because a lot of my toughing through stuff was going to the gym, reading, praying, and telling myself that I'm going to make it, and having faith that my plan was going to work out at some point, you know. And now life is so much easier because my 5-year plan is done. It was done in 4 years. I did it. So I look back and see that it took this long in order for me to get here. So now I can look forward at other points and be like, I can take this amount of time to get there, and I know I can because I've already done it.
That's well, first, kudos to you, you know what I'm saying, for, you know, sitting, you know, having a plan, sticking to it, regardless of if you experience grief. And I will be talking about that on Wednesday. I didn't announce that yet, but I will, so you might want to stay tuned to that. I will be addressing, having an open discussion with a past guest on the show. We both collectively came together and wanted to address those issues as far as grief in sobriety and early stages of dating in sobriety. So you guys look out for that this upcoming Wednesday, I think at 7:30 or 8:30 Central Time. But it definitely, you know, I experienced grief myself, and to this day, I still don't know, like, because any other time I would have gave up, you know what I'm saying? But I just kind of felt like, okay, this is all new to me. And, you know, despite the fact that it might be somewhat of some setbacks, let's just continue to work the course. You know what you do when things get rough, you run to the liquor store. Right. So just like you said, now things may get tough with you. You put it on paper, you wrote a book, you go to the gym, you let out your frustrations and stuff like that. You know, those are, you know, are just a few activities that you can do to deal with it. Right. And like I said, it's good to have a discussion and hear it so that people can know, okay, well, you know, hey, I might go do something outdoors. Okay, well, I'm going to try something new. But as long as what you're trying doesn't consume a beverage, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, that to me is what's most important.
Yeah.
So, so how long you been in the modeling game and the acting game?
I think it was summer 2021. Yes, summer 2021. I went to school with so this girl from school I went to that I was friends with in high school. She actually, surprisingly, ironically, our families have like ties from back in the day, and but so she had basically it all happened because I was clean. So let's get that. So listen. So basically, I get out, I get in shape. My friend sees my Instagram because she follows me, and so we ran into each other at the mall one day. So right after we ran into each other, she DM'd me and she was like, "Hey Rashad, I'm shooting a video for my first video, and I want you to play the lead role. Like I like your love your look, and I want you to just. So basically, my look is I'm in shape because I'm clean, and that's part of my program. And I went on to the set, and we shot the video, and the creative or exec, I don't know, the producer, I guess. She had asked me to like join her agency for models and actors, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't act. Like I don't know how to I act. And she's like, no, it's fine. Just say you're an actor, blah, blah, blah. And she had me sign up for a few of these apps and newsletters for actors and stuff like that. So I just started applying. She was like, just apply for a bunch of stuff and, you know, see what happens. So I started applying stuff, and I got a few commercials. I was like, okay, I went and did the commercials, and it was actually like a fun experience, like just going, having fun, talking with people, networking, and getting paid for it as well, and doing some stuff that I actually wanted to do when I was younger. I wanted to be a model, you know, growing up, watching Disney Channel and stuff, wanting to be on TV. So that just happened, you know, and then I kept applying. I found a movie role. I got accepted as a background in a movie, and a bunch of model gigs that people just, it was kind of like, I guess it was that success model, the timing and luck, you know, and that's just what it was. It fell into place. And I kind of took a little break from it recently for like the last 6 months, but like I'm just having fun with life, and I'm not putting no pressure on myself to try to be anything specific. You know, I just want to continue to help people make money to support my family, and, you know, just have fun. Eventually I want to get property. The goal is to open up a wellness center, and a lot of other things.
That's what's up. That's real dope, man. Now, wait, let me see. Where intention goes, energy flows. That is correct. Talent, for real. So now, before we get up out of here, man, it's like there's so much I could ask, like questions in between, like the whole thing, but just some of the trauma, because I think that is something that we, during that could be part of the reasoning why we may have been using or in that dark place. And it's always good now to know that, okay, we went through it, we saw what we saw, we did what we did, but now we have a whole nother life that's positive. So if you could do us the honors, what advice would you give somebody that is facing some of the same, if not similar trauma that you experienced? What would be that message to let them know, like, okay, there is something at the end of that tunnel?
My advice usually to most people is keep going. It's my main thing. Keep going, because like you're just gonna build momentum. You're gonna build compound interest. It doesn't even matter what you're trying to keep going on. Like it's if you're trying to be professional in your career, if you're trying to get through college, if you're whatever it is, recovery. My message is to keep going, because regardless of anything, life sucks, and I mean that in the best way. Accept it and keep going. Like that's my main thing. If I my first shirt I'm gonna walk around with when I start making shirts is gonna say keep going.
I ain't mad at you for that. Now, if you guys, if you want to screenshot the page, do so now. I'm gonna make sure that Rashad, make sure you send me a DM, so when I actually put the post on my page, it'll have their information as far as the book and everything.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay. Yeah. So, but man, like I'm definitely happy and that we've had this opportunity to have this conversation, because of the fact that there it's there's trauma that we face as a adolescent that we may not know. It just seems like, okay, this may make you upset for right now, but then it's like you get a little bit older and it's like, damn, that was really traumatic. And you, just from what you shared, I'm sure there was more, but just from what you shared, that was traumatic, bro. And it made me relive stuff that happened to me 10, 15 years prior to when you was going through what you were going through. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, yeah, that's and it's inspiring, because it's like, dang, man, we think that we're the only ones going through it. And then you hear somebody else say it dang near verbatim. Like, wait, yeah. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. And then it's like, okay, now I understand why I'm trying to put this together and have more and more people speak, because we're a lot of these stories are very similar. A lot of these stories and trauma that we've all, like, a lot of the people on my show have faced something that's like rather similar. Like, wow, okay, well, we all live in the same drunken, you know what I'm saying? Like, addiction period, because it sounds the same, you know, and you're no different. But the thing is that the success story, yeah, there are some people who are still out there kind of on the fence or are out there still struggling, but you live in proof that it's possible to you know, get out there and recover from this and live a happy, successful life, even with bumps in the road. Eagles losing the Super Bowl. I mean, you know.
Yeah. At the end,
I'm a Chargers. Listen, I'm a Chargers.
You gonna hit me
I'm
with
a
a jab
Chargers fan.
at the low blow at the end?
I'm just messing with you, bro. You know, we got to bring some laughs to it. But nah, it's just like real talk. It's just, it's, you know, it's I respect the community, because it's like, for one, people, we're talking like we partners. Like we've been friends longer than just, you know what I'm saying? But the experiences is what brings us closer. That to make us understand, like, damn, all right, I wasn't the only one, but we might have been alone when we were going through it. Yeah. But we're no longer alone, because we can sit here and we can laugh and share these stories and hopefully help somebody else so that they don't have to go through it. But you also know that there is, you know, light at the end of that tunnel. You just got to get to it. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's it, man. I ain't gonna hold you up. I got something smelling really good on the stove that I need to eat, because I didn't eat before I went to church. But like I said, Rashad, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was definitely a blast. I'm trying to put together something for the brothers on here, and maybe be able to do more of a check-in more often, more frequently, so the public can see more of us talking together around the same time. So be on the lookout for that. And like I said, I'll even shoot you my contact after this as well. Right. And but like I said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to a wonderful, another amazing 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast. We're trying to bridge all gaps of, you know, this thing called alcoholism, sobriety, addiction, and just from a different perspective, our perspective. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for commenting. And until next time, be on the lookout for the announcement on the next podcast, or just a conversation to probably be for sure Wednesday, if not sooner than that. But like I said, thank you guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and y'all be blessed. This is 12 Faces of Sober.
Thanks for helping me, bro.
All right, man. You take care.
You too.
All right.